Jose and Mary Alvarez.com present the Living from the Throne Independent Study. Hello, my friends. This is Jose E. Alvarez from Jose and Mary Alvarez.com. Today, I'm excited to speak to you about my second independent study, Living from the Throne of God, because it's so vital. Why did God have me do this independent study? Well, are you a Christian? Are you born again? Then it tells us in Romans chapter 6 that what happened to Christ happened to you because you are in Christ or inside of Christ. When Christ was crucified, you were crucified in Him. When He died, you died with Him. When He was brought back to life, you were brought back to life in Him. When He was raised up, you were raised up with Him. And when He sat at the right hand of God the Father in heavenly places, you sat down with Him. So let me ask you again, where are you today? Where's your life at? If you were risen with Christ, says Colossians chapter 3, seek those things which are above. If you have been risen with Christ, then seek those things which are above at the right hand of God the Father. Let me ask you a question. Your real life, you might be here on earth, but your real life is up in heaven. And what God is going to anoint is not your life here on earth. God will anoint only what He has done. He will anoint what is happening up in heaven. Now, there are three heavens. Heaven number one is this earth here with all the stuff that's happening here. The second heaven is found in Ephesians chapter 6, where all the spiritual activity and all the spiritual warfare happens. The third heaven that Paul talks about in 2 Corinthians chapter 12 is where Christ lives and where you are positionally living. So this is what this study is about. Now, think about this again. There are three heavens. If you're living from the circumstances of this earth, and you're not living up on the throne of God, then the second heaven, where demons are functioning, are above you. And the third heaven is so far above you that you have no understanding of the life that God has for you on the throne. But when you're living in the third heavens from the throne of God, and truly your life is like that, then the second heaven is underneath you. You're in a place of authority over the works of the enemy, and you're sitting and commanding. And the circumstances of heaven, of earth, are also underneath your feet. Video number one deals with ministering from the throne. A lot of people that we do these studies for are ministers. Well, most of the church ministers extremely incorrectly. We don't minister in the way that Jesus ministers. So I do a whole study on video number one on how Jesus ministered. Because if you're going to be effective in your ministry, you have to learn how to minister like Jesus ministered, because that is what God's going to anoint. And then you got to minister from your position on the throne, where you have authority over every sickness and over every demon of hell. I teach you knowing when Jesus' power is active and when it's not. Jesus did not minister healing and deliverance to everyone that He encountered. He knew when the power of God was active and when the power of God was not active, and He had that discernment. And so must you learn how to know when God's power for healing is there and when His power for healing is not there. Number three, the secret to how Christ ministered was that He called the things which are not as if they are. He called the things that are up in heaven but that are not seen. He called them forth from the throne by authority. That's video number 1. Video number 2 has to deal with very much the provision that's in heaven versus the provision that we have on earth. The provision that we have in earth is failing us. It's failing us. The supply chain problems, COVID, difficulties in money, financial problems. The world is being strained. The Lord's going to come back. Things will only get worse and worse and worse. We have to wake up. So our provision on earth is limited. It's corrupt. But our provision in heaven from the throne is unlimited. And we learn how to call that provision, though we can't see it. The things are not, by revelation, we call them as they are. Why? Because the whole provision in heaven, which are called pragmas, operates by the principle of mustard seed faith. Because the things in heaven are not limited. The things of heaven are not limited to corruption, to limitations. They can infinitely expand, infinitely increase by the voice of the Spirit and by faith. So that's what video number 2 is. Number 3 is, what are second heaven high places? The evil kings of the Old Testament function in second heaven high places. And many Christians, without knowing, are worshiping second heaven high places. Then I discussed third heaven high places, where we see especially the prophet Samuel many times going to the high places of the third heaven. Now, what does it mean to co-sit on the throne with God? Imagine, what does it mean that you are seated on the most supreme, the most exalted place, reigning with Christ? What does that mean to you? The whole aspect of co-sitting down on the throne of God. Then I discuss with you ministry from the right hand of God. Ministry from the right hand of God. What kind of right hand does God have? And it says that we're seated at the right hand of God. What does that mean? I discussed that. Then the 3 instances of reigning from the throne are seen in Ephesians chapter 1, Philippians chapter 2, and Ephesians chapter 3. The principles of having everything underneath your feet, every name that is named in heaven, on the earth, and below the earth, are underneath your feet. Ephesians chapter 1. Philippians chapter 2, that because Christ humbled himself, God highly exalted him and gave him a name which is above every single name, and you're in Christ. What does that mean? That you're functioning with every name on earth is below you. That, my friends, is what this study is about. 32 pages are my teacher's notes. 4 hours of video that meticulously follow these videos. And the cost, $20, because I want to make it accessible to everybody. Go to joseandmaryalvarez.com and you will find all the information. Also on this video, I have put the link to this particular study on this video. Thank you, my friends. God bless you. And I pray that this will be a fruitful study for you. In Jesus Christ's holy name.